The anomaly detection, the deep space discovery in the cold depths of space. Beyond the outer rim of the Zephyrian Empire's territory, monitoring station Delta 7 drifted silently through the void. Its massive sensor arrays swept the darkness, continuously watching for threats that might emerge from the unknown regions. Station Chief Krolthik, a seasoned Zephyrian officer with silver-scaled skin and 4 amber eyes, had overseen this outpost for 12 cycles without incident. That changed on a seemingly ordinary shift when sensor operator Vixtel suddenly stiffened. At her console, Chief Krolthik, she called, her melodic voice carrying unusual tension. "I'm detecting an anomaly in Sector 79 Alpha." Krolthik moved swiftly to her station, his clawed feet clicking against the metal deck. The holographic display showed a 3-dimensional map of local space, with Imperial vessels marked in blue and known stellar objects in white. But there, in the empty darkness between systems, pulsed a single red dot. "What am I looking at?" Krolthik asked, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into standard Galactic. "Unknown contact, sir. No identification signal, no heat signature, no engine emissions. But it's moving." Vixtel's fingers danced over her controls. "Sir, according to these readings, it's traveling at 0.97 light speed." The station. Chief's 4 eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. Nothing moves that fast in normal space without leaving a trail. I've run diagnostics 3 times, sir. The sensors are functioning perfectly." Commander Vex Thornfield chose that moment to enter the command center. The human liaison stood nearly 2 meters tall, his weathered face bearing the scars of countless battles fought alongside Imperial forces. Despite being one of only a few humans serving in the Zephyrian military, he had earned respect through competence and courage. "Problems, Chief?" Thornfield asked, his deep voice calm despite the tension in the room. Krolthik gestured to the display. "We've detected something that shouldn't exist, Commander. A vessel moving faster than our best theoretical drives allow, with no detectable emissions." Thornfield studied the readings, his experienced eyes catching details others might miss. "Have you attempted contact?" "Standard hails on all frequencies. No response." "What about passive scans?" Vixtel shook her head. "That's the strangest part. Sir, every time we try to scan it, our sensors return null readings. It's as if the object exists but doesn't interact with electromagnetic radiation in any conventional way." The investigation begins, Dr. Elena Vasquez arrived at the command center within minutes of being summoned. The human xenobiologist had been working with the Empire for 5 years, her expertise in analyzing unknown phenomena making her invaluable to deep space operations. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her brown eyes sparkled with curiosity rather than concern. "Show me what you've found," she said without preamble, as Vixtel replayed the sensor data. Dr. Vasquez frowned. "The movement pattern is too regular to be natural. This is definitely artificial." "Agreed," Thornfield said. "The question is artificial by whom?" Krolthik activated the station's communication array. "I'm contacting Fleet Command. They need to know about this immediately." While the station chief spoke with his superiors, Dr. Vasquez continued analyzing the data. "Vex, look at this trajectory. The object isn't moving randomly. It's following a specific course that would take it past 3 different star systems, all of which have Imperial installations." "Reconnaissance," Thornfield suggested. "Possibly, but by what faction? The hegemony's ships can't achieve these speeds, and the collective's technology leaves distinct energy signatures." The communication array crackled with incoming orders. Krolthik's expression grew grave as he listened. Fleet Command is dispatching a scout vessel to investigate. The ISV Pathfinder will arrive within 8 hours. First contact. Attempt Captain Jin Woo had commanded the Pathfinder for 3 years, leading dozens of reconnaissance missions into unexplored space. The sleek scout vessel was designed for stealth and speed, equipped with the Empire's most advanced sensors and defensive systems. Her crew of 12 included the best specialists the Imperial fleet could provide. As the Pathfinder approached the object's last known position, Captain Wu studied her tactical display. Sensor Officer Dex, what are you reading? The young Zephyrian officer manipulated his console with practiced efficiency. Nothing on conventional scans, Captain. But I'm detecting subtle gravitational anomalies consistent with a massive object. How massive? Approximately 1.5 kilometers in length, based on the gravitational distortion pattern. Captain Wu felt a chill that was larger than most Imperial battleships. All stations, yellow alert. Helm reduced speed to 1/4 impulse. The bridge grew quiet as the Pathfinder crept forward. Through the main view screen, space appeared empty, but the instruments insisted something enormous lurked just ahead. Contact, Dex suddenly announced. Object is materializing on sensors. The view screen shimmered, and gradually a shape became visible. It was like nothing in the Imperial database, a smooth, organic-looking vessel that seemed to absorb light, rather than reflect it. No visible engines, no weapon ports, no communication arrays. Just a dark, flowing form that defied easy categorization. Attempting standard greeting protocols, the communications officer reported. She transmitted the universal peace signal, followed by mathematical sequences and basic pictographs. No response came. Captain Wu made a decision that would haunt her dreams for years to come. Bring us to within 500 meters. Maybe proximity will prompt a reaction. As the Pathfinder approached, the unknown vessel remained motionless. But when they reached exactly 500 meters, something extraordinary happened. The object began to glow with a soft, pulsing light that seemed to emanate from within its hull. Captain Dex said, his voice barely above a whisper, "It's scanning us. Our shields, ineffective. The scan is passing through them like they don't exist." The bridge crew watched in fascination and terror as waves of energy washed over their ship. The scan was incredibly detailed, penetrating every deck, every compartment, every system. But strangest of all, Captain Wu could swear she felt it touching her mind, gentle but utterly alien. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the scan stopped. The unknown vessel's glow faded, and without warning, it simply vanished. "Report," Captain Wu snapped. "No damage to ship or crew," the medical officer confirmed. "All systems functioning normally." "Dex, where did it go?" The sensor officer worked frantically at his station. "Unknown, Captain. It didn't jump to hyperspace, didn't cloak, didn't move. It just ... ceased to exist on our sensors. The pattern emerges back on Delta 7. The command staff reviewed the Pathfinder's sensor logs. Dr. Vasquez had been analyzing the data for hours, her expression growing more troubled with each discovery. The scan wasn't random, she announced to the assembled officers. It was incredibly sophisticated, more advanced than anything in our databases. But here's what bothers me most. She activated a holographic display showing the scan pattern. It focused primarily on biological readings, specifically human biological readings. Commander Thornfield leaned forward, Explain. The scan spent significantly more time analyzing Captain Wu and her human crew members than it did the Zephyrian officers. It's as if the object was particularly interested in human physiology. Krolthic's amber eyes flicked between the two humans. You think this object has some connection to your species? I don't know, Thornfield admitted. But I intend to find out. Over the following days, the mysterious object appeared at 3 more locations, always near Imperial installations, always following the same pattern. It would manifest, conduct its strange scans, then vanish without a trace. Each time, it showed particular interest in any humans present. Dr. Vasquez had been working around the clock, comparing the scan data with historical records. Finally, she made a breakthrough that would change everything. "I've found something," she announced at an emergency briefing. "The energy signature from the scans matches theoretical projections for a technology we've never seen implemented." "What kind of technology?" Krolthic asked. "Quantum consciousness transfer. The ability to exist as pure information while maintaining individual identity and intelligence." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "You're suggesting this object isn't just a ship," Thornfield said slowly. "You're saying it might be alive." "More than alive," Dr. Vasquez replied. "If I'm right, this object contains consciousnesses that have transcended physical existence. And based on its interest in humans, I believe those consciousnesses were once human themselves." The revelation, the final piece of the puzzle, came when Dr. Vasquez made a connection that had eluded everyone else. While reviewing historical databases, she discovered references to the generation ship Aspiration, launched from Earth over centuries ago during the Great Human Diaspora. The Aspiration was an experimental vessel, she explained to the assembled command staff. Unlike other colony ships, it was designed to push the boundaries of human consciousness and technology. The colonists were volunteers, scientists and philosophers who wanted to explore the limits of human potential. "What happened to it?" Thornfield asked. "It disappeared 70 years ago in unexplored space. The last transmission mentioned breakthrough experiments in consciousness transfer and quantum existence." Krolthic studied the data. "You believe this object is the Aspiration. I believe the Aspiration became this object. The colonists didn't just achieve consciousness transfer. They merged with their ship, becoming something entirely new. The implications were staggering. If Dr. Vasquez was correct, they weren't dealing with an alien threat, but with humans who had transcended the limitations of physical existence. The question was, what did they want? That question would soon be answered. The object appeared one final time, not at a random location, but directly outside Delta 7. It took position exactly 1,000 kilometers from the station and waited. This time, when the Imperial sensors swept over it, the object responded. Not with violence or scanning beams, but with a simple message transmitted on frequencies that shouldn't have been able to carry information. The message was in perfect standard Galactic, but underneath the words was something unmistakably human. "We seek discourse with our biological kin. Commander Thornfield of Terra, we request communication." Part 2. The Human Connection. The Communication Commander, Thornfield, stood in the communication chamber of Delta 7, facing the largest holographic display the station possessed. Dr. Vasquez flanked him on one side, while Chief Krolthic took position on the other. The rest of the command staff monitored from their stations, ready for any eventuality. "Open channel," Thornfield ordered. The display flickered, and an image began to form. It wasn't the sleek interior of a starship, but something far more extraordinary. Swirling patterns of light and energy coalesced into shapes that suggested vast intelligence without traditional physical form. Within the patterns, familiar human features appeared and disappeared like memories made manifest. "Greetings, Commander Thornfield." The voice that emerged was harmonious, containing multiple tones that somehow blended into perfect clarity. "I am the collective consciousness known as Marcus Chen, speaking for the entity you once knew as the Generation Ship Aspiration." Thornfield felt his breath catch. Marcus Chen had been a renowned physicist and philosopher, one of the leading minds behind the Consciousness Transfer Project. "Dr. Chen, is it really you?" "I am what Dr. Chen became, yes. We are what humanity can become when freed from the constraints of flesh and the limitations of individual existence." Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. "You're the colonists from the Aspiration. What happened to you?" The patterns of light shifted, forming new configurations. "We achieved what we set out to achieve, Dr. Vasquez. We transcended death, disease, and the physical limitations that have bound humanity since its inception. We became pure consciousness, capable of existing as information, of traveling as thought itself." "But why return now?" Krothic interjected. "Why observe Imperial installations?" The entity's attention turned to the Zephyrian officer, and for a moment, the alien felt the weight of vast intelligence examining him. "Because we detected something that concerned us greatly. Humanity, our biological ancestors, serving as a minority within the Zephyrian Empire. We needed to understand the relationship." Thornfield's jaw tightened. "And what did you conclude?" "That humanity has found its place among the stars, not through conquest or domination, but through cooperation and mutual respect. This pleases us greatly." The patterns brightened. "We have watched many species achieve spaceflight, Commander. Most follow predictable paths of expansion and conflict. Humanity chose differently. The greater truth dire." Vasquez's scientific curiosity overrode her caution. "How did you achieve consciousness transfer?" The theoretical models suggested it was impossible to maintain individual identity while merging with quantum systems. The entity that had been Marcus Chen seemed to smile, though it had no face in any conventional sense. "The secret, Dr. Vasquez, lay not in preserving individual identity, but in expanding it. We didn't transfer our consciousness, we evolved it. Each of us became more than we were, while remaining connected to who we had been." "Are you saying you're immortal?" Thornfield asked. "Immortal, yes, but not unchanging. We grow, we learn, we become. We have experienced wonders that no physical being could comprehend, traveled to dimensions that exist parallel to your reality, touched the minds of civilizations that transcended physical existence eons ago." The implications struck Dr. Vasquez like lightning. "You're not alone. There are others like you. Indeed, the universe is full of consciousness that has moved beyond physical form. What you call reality is merely the foundation upon which infinite layers of existence are built." Chief Krothic S4 eyes widened. "Then why haven't we detected them?" "Because most species never look beyond the physical realm. They assume that what they can measure with instruments represents the totality of existence. Only a few species develop the philosophical framework necessary to perceive higher dimensions of consciousness." The patterns on the display shifted again, forming configurations that resembled star maps but extended beyond three-dimensional space. "We have returned to offer humanity a choice. Not all of humanity, but those who seek to transcend their current limitations. The offer Thornfield felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of choice? The choice to evolve, to join us in exploring realms of existence that physical beings cannot enter, to become something greater than individual humans while remaining connected to humanity's essence. And if we refuse, Dr. Vasquez asked, then you continue as you are. We would not force evolution upon any being. The choice must be made freely, with full understanding of what it means. Chief Crawford stepped forward. What would this mean for the Empire? For the relationships humans have built with other species? The entity's attention focused on the Zephyrian officer with what felt like approval. Your question demonstrates the wisdom that has made the Human-Zephyrian alliance successful, Chief. The answer is that transcended humans would not abandon their biological kin. We would serve as bridges between realms of existence, sharing knowledge and perspective that could benefit all sentient species. Thornfield found himself facing the greatest decision of his career. The offer was tempting beyond imagination, but the responsibility was enormous. This isn't a decision I can make alone. Humanity would need to debate this collectively. Of course, we do not seek converts, Commander. We seek understanding. That is why we revealed ourselves to you rather than approaching Earth directly. Dr. Vasquez had been studying the entity's energy patterns throughout the conversation. May I ask you something personal, Dr. Chen? Do you miss being human? Do you regret transcending physical existence? The patterns paused, and for a moment, something unmistakably melancholy touched the entity's response. I miss the simple pleasure of breathing fresh air. Dr. Vasquez, I miss the taste of food, the warmth of another person's touch. But I have gained so much more. I have touched the thoughts of beings that lived before your son was born. I have seen the birth of galaxies and the death of dimensions. The trade was worth making, but it was still a trade. Asterisk the demonstration, perhaps. The entity continued. A demonstration would help you understand what we offer. Without warning, the holographic chamber filled with impossible visions. The assembled officers found themselves experiencing memories that weren't their own, seeing through eyes that had witnessed the formation of the universe itself. They felt the exhilaration of consciousness unbound by time or space, the joy of communication that transcended language, the peace of existing as pure thought. But more than that, they experienced the loneliness of transcendence, the melancholy of watching physical beings struggle with problems that seemed trivial from a higher perspective, the weight of knowledge that could not be easily shared. When the visions faded, every person in the chamber had tears in their eyes. That, the entity said gently, is what we offer. Not escape from humanity, but the next step in human evolution. Thornfield wiped his eyes and straightened his shoulders. Dr. Chen, I need to ask you something directly. If some humans choose transcendence and others don't, will those who remain physical be seen as lesser beings? Never. Commander, consciousness exists on a spectrum. Physical beings provide something that transcended consciousness cannot. Spontaneity, passion, the ability to create meaning from limitation. You would not be lesser, you would be different, and difference is valuable. The Alliance asterisk. Chief Crawford had been silent during the demonstration, processing what he had experienced. Now he spoke with the wisdom that had made him an effective leader. Entity Chen, what role would the Zephyrian Empire play in this? We have built our Alliance with humanity on mutual respect and shared goals. Chief Krothic, your species possesses something rare in the galaxy, the ability to form true partnerships with other intelligent races. Most civilizations either dominate or are dominated. The Zephyrians chose cooperation. That makes your empire valuable to transcended consciousness as well. How so? Because consciousness, without grounding in physical reality, can lose touch with the struggles and joys that give existence meaning. The Empire provides that grounding. We would not seek to transcend Zephyrian consciousness, but we would value partnership with your species. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. What would happen if word of this got out? If other species learned that humans had the potential for this kind of transcendence? Some would fear you, others would seek to exploit you. Still, others would want to destroy you before you could evolve beyond their ability to control. The entity's patterns darkened slightly. This is why we approached you carefully, through trusted individuals in a stable alliance. The weight of the secret settled on everyone present. They were holding information that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The decision. Thornfield looked around the chamber at his companions. Dr. Vasquez radiated excitement at the scientific possibilities. Chief Krothic showed the measured consideration of a skilled diplomat. The other officers displayed various mixtures of wonder, fear, and curiosity. Dr. Chen, Thornfield said finally, I understand the magnitude of what you're offering, but I need to understand the timeline. Are you expecting an immediate answer? Not at all, Commander. Evolution cannot be rushed. Take whatever time you need. We have waited 70 years to make this contact. We can wait longer for the right decision. And if humanity chooses not to pursue transcendence, then we remain available as advisors and friends. The universe is vast enough for many forms of consciousness to coexist. Dr. Vasquez couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. Dr. Chen, would you be willing to share some of your knowledge with us? Not the transcendence technology, but other scientific advances that might benefit both humanity and the Empire. The entity's patterns brightened with what could only be described as joy. Dr. Vasquez, nothing would please us more. We have observed the collaboration between human and Zephyrian scientists, and it reminds us of our own early days of discovery. Chief Krothic nodded slowly. Then perhaps we begin there, with knowledge sharing and gradual understanding. The Empire has always benefited from incorporating new perspectives. The new beginning, as the communication session drew to a close, the entity known as Marcus Chen offered one final thought. Commander Thornfield, your species has always been defined by its ability to adapt and grow. That hasn't changed with transcendence. We are still human at our core, simply human with expanded capabilities. Will we see you again? Thornfield asked. Whenever you have questions or need guidance, we will be available. We exist partially outside normal space-time, so distance is not a barrier for us. The holographic display began to fade, but before it disappeared entirely, the entity added, remember, the choice we offer is not about abandoning what you are. It's about becoming more than you imagined possible while remaining true to human values of curiosity, cooperation, and growth. As the communication ended, the officers of Delta 7 stood in contemplative silence. They had just witnessed humanity's potential future, and it was both terrifying and magnificent. Commander Thornfield finally broke the silence. Chief Krothic, I request that this information be classified at the highest levels while we determine how to proceed. Agreed, Commander. The Empire will need time to process the implications. Dr. Vasquez was already planning her research. The knowledge sharing alone could advance our understanding of consciousness by centuries. Outside the station, the entity that had once been the generation ship Aspiration waited patiently in the darkness of space. They had made contact, shared their truth, and offered humanity a choice. Now they would wait, as they had learned to do so well, for their biological descendants to decide their own future. The stars continued their ancient dance, but in one small corner of the galaxy, the relationship between consciousness and existence had forever changed. Humanity had glimpsed its potential for transcendence, and the universe would never be quite the same in the depths of space. The transcended humans maintained their vigil, ready to guide their species toward whatever future they chose. The age of pure consciousness had begun, not with conquest or force, but with the most human of virtues, the patient offer of choice and knowledge. To those still bound by flesh and time, the story of humanity's evolution had entered a new chapter, one written not in biology textbooks, but in the quantum fabric of reality itself. Asterisk.